Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. So today, as you guys can see up on the screen, we're going to be going over this interview, which was actually from a couple of weeks ago. I had it on my radar. I have like a little list of video ideas that I am always potentially thinking about making. And for whatever reason, I just never got to this one at the time. I had other videos that came up or that I wanted to make or whatever. But I thought this was still a really cool interview and a really interesting topic. And right before the LEC playoffs, which obviously start today, I don't think is necessarily a bad time to talk about this either. And maybe, some people have kind of forgot about some of these quotes and things since then, so we can kind of cover this. This comes from the LEC broadcast the week that Ashley Kang was there doing the interview. She's obviously a really great, really highly respected interviewer, and she got to interview Rekkles, and they talked about a lot of cool things. And mainly one of the main reasons it stuck out to me was actually like the headline here, which says, "I think I'm much better being the backbone for our team than the face." And obviously this is Rekkles talking a little bit about his time at Fnatic versus his time at G2, maybe how he's feeling about some different things, and overall how the switch is going and how he's feeling. So this should be really cool to kind of react to this interview, get some quotes from Rekkles and everything. Should be fun. And then also talk a little bit about the season that G2 and Rekkles just had, but then also looking ahead for the playoffs, for MSI, for all that stuff for them as well, because obviously things are looking pretty good for G2 right now. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick, if you guys have not already, please take a second and smash that like button. I would appreciate it so much. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already, subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. With that being said, let's get right into it. We got this Ashley Kang interview. Hopefully the volume's good. I don't know. This comes from the LEC channel. G2 Rekkles interview broadcast highlights 2021 LEC Spring W7 D2. Again, this is March 6th. Today's March 26th, so it's been almost 3 weeks, but hey, better late than never. The content's still there.
LEC G2 takes another decisive victory this time.
I think Ashley Kang is definitely a really good interviewer, and I think she has some great questions in this interview. We have some.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Some production issues there.
Thank you. Your victory against Misfits today actually puts you on an 8-game winning streak, and overall, it's been a really great few weeks for G2. Because you guys locked in for playoffs, you had a very one-sided game against Rogue, and you even took that revenge against Fnatic. But what can you tell me from first-person perspective on the overall momentum of your team? Like, how are you or G2 players feeling about G2's current trajectory?
I think we feel like it took some time to learn how to play together. For sure, it was easier than for some other teams because we only made one change, but one change is still a change after all. So I feel like we just needed some time to learn how to play together, and then now it's just been clicking for the last couple of weeks. We've been on the same page with everything we do, draft to play, so the wins are coming with it.
So I think that's really scary, but also really exciting and awesome to hear. Obviously, him admitting that, yeah, the beginning of the season was a little bit weird, and it's kind of, honestly, this has been one of the more weird seasons, I feel like, for teams pretty much all over the world. I don't know if it's the item changes, I don't know if it's the big meta changes, I don't know if it's because of how crazy of an offseason we had, or everything put together, and then throw Corona on top of all this stuff as well. It's been a weird year. A lot of teams have been inconsistent, different than usual. I don't know exactly, but to hear Rekkles say, obviously, yeah, we necessarily weren't on the same page all at the beginning. It was maybe a little bit slow starting, a little bit slow coming together, but to hear him say now that he feels like they are clicking, he feels like all of them are on the same page in terms of drafts, how to play, plays being made in the games and stuff, that's scary, because G2 is a very talented team, and just as far as overall player skill, can really go toe-to-toe with anyone in the world. For sure anyone in the LEC, for sure anyone in the West, but probably most teams in the world, if not all teams in the world. They can at least, match up with them. Maybe you could say Damwon's a little bit better, there's some Chinese teams that are a little bit better, maybe T1's a little bit better, but just overall is skill, but this is obviously so much of a team game, and being on the same page, trusting your teammates, and making the right plays is so much of it as well. And it's been a short time together. This G2 roster's only been together for 2 months at this point, maybe going on 3 months. By the time Worlds comes around, I mean, they'll have like 6 or 7 months under their belts. They continue to develop and keep this kind of camaraderie and be on the same page for the whole year. This could be very exciting for G2 fans, for European fans, for just fans of the West in League of Legends, and that's so great to hear, because obviously Rekkles has left Fnatic and joined teams before that were never able to get on the same page, and things that didn't work out so well, and everyone thought this move to G2 was going to be a great move for Rekkles, for G2, for everyone involved, but you truly never know until it actually happens. And to hear that he is confident and the team's feeling confident and they're loving playing together and how everything's going, that's very exciting. But man, that is scary for the rest of the LEC and should be probably scary for the rest of the world as well.
What were some moments in drafts or in game that you felt like, hey, this is clicking for you and Mickey, for you and the rest of the teammates?
Yeah, I think that's a great question.
I guess for me and Mickey in particular, it's been just trusting each other more. Like, for example, playing Senna lanes or me finding courage to play Kai'Sa again. I'm not the best Kai'Sa player and I don't have a lot of confidence with her, but I think for me and him in particular, we kind of like have come to a point now where we trust each other enough to play stuff we don't normally want to play maybe. So I think this gives us a strength for sure in the bot lane. We can play now a lot of things and even first time stuff on stage. So I think this is for sure a good thing. And for the team, I would say just having everyone be carry, depending on the game. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Cap, sometimes it's Wunder, sometimes it's even Jankos. or Mickey, I guess, if he's playing Sion. So just having the versatility as a team as well. I think this is something that we got over the split too.
And the fact that he's talking about them having the trust and faith in anyone on the team to be the carry, that is actually so valuable. Like, yeah, most teams in the world, you know, they have their main carry or maybe even two main carries, and you know, you can be absolutely fine with that, and that can be very, very good. But from now until MSI, until Worlds, until summer playoffs, you have no idea how the meta is going to change. Riot, they love to mess with stuff. They love to make a new crazy champion. They love to mess with the items. They love to just randomly buff random champions. The meta might be top-centric. It might be mid-centric. It might be bot-focused by the time you get to Worlds. And at least having the ability of, if you needed for any one of your players to be able to carry, not only does that make it hard for the other teams to game plan around you, to draft against you, it makes you so flexible in any meta, and it makes you just be really, really dominant, have many playstyles, and be hard to kind of predict and everything. It can make you better in drafts. It can be so good, but also just having the faith and confidence in your teammates, even to just make a big play a game, even if it's not as a carry, even if it's as a tank or as a support or whatever, that can be so good, because not every team has that. Not every team has that faith and that strength and that camaraderie and the confidence, because I mean, and many of the times it's rightfully so. Most teams have a weak point, or most teams have players that, you know, don't always show up or aren't always super consistent. I think that's one of the big strengths of this G2 team is that, yeah, they all are threats. They all are a problem for the other team. The other team has to think about what all five of these guys could do going into each game, and then when you're in each game, what all five guys are gonna do. And that's super fun, and that's part of the reason why I love watching G2 play, especially when they're at their best, because yeah, you really don't know what's gonna happen, and that's awesome. As far as, you know, him talking about him not having a ton of confidence on Kai'Sa, that's obviously not great to hear, because Kai'Sa's kind of been a big champion in the meta the last couple of years, so hopefully he's working on that. Hopefully that can get better, but I also did think it was a little bit cool of just him being open and honest and saying, yeah, I'm not the most confident on Kai'Sa. It's something I need to work on. It's something we are working on. Hopefully he can get to the point where they keep getting better. I did think it was funny that the LEC actually tweeted out the kind of stat leaders from the regular season. Hansama with the most kills. That's really cool to see. But then we have Rekkles with the most deaths, and he's been kind of this backbone for G2. And coming into the season, that's something I thought was going to be very valuable. You know, we see G2 as this crazy team that's flying around. Some games they're losing 5 minutes in because everyone's died like 2 or 3 times. They just start inting. They start running down like crazy. But you know, sometimes they win the game at 5 minutes, and they're like 10-0, and they're just balls to the wall all the time, trying to make big plays, trying to be aggressive, trying to be a really fun and exciting team, and playing a crazy chaotic style that kind of just picks the other team apart. And Rekkles has always been kind of this slow and methodical, under control. I'm gonna be there in the late game. You guys do whatever you got to do, but I'm gonna be the rock. And I thought that might be hard to fit that into G2, because it's really not how they play as a team. But also, maybe it's exactly what G2 needs. Maybe the other 4 guys can still continue to do whatever they want to do, but now they have a little bit of an insurance policy. And seeing that, you know, Rekkles only had 18 deaths to split, that he had the least deaths in the LEC, that people are talking about him as a potential MVP, that, yeah, he has been consistent. He has been that insurance policy for G2, and he has played so well. And then talking about the synergy with Mickey, you see Mickey led the LEC in assists, which is awesome. But then also, what was funny to me, Rekkles having the least deaths, we scroll down to the most deaths here. Mickey had the third most deaths per game in the LEC. So, you get kind of the KDA 80 carry and the crazy support. And then I also thought it was funny that Hylissang and Whippo were both in the top 6 for Fnatic in deaths there. Hylissang, way more deaths than anyone else. Is not even close. That, might be a little bit concerning. But talking about, Rekkles and Mickey a little bit there. Least deaths, most assists. Bot lane looking pretty good for G2.
Speaking of your growth within this new Team G2, in a recent post-game lobby, you said something very interesting that stuck with me, that now you are the new guy in the team, that perhaps there is a positive sentiment that goes along with the idea of not being the leader in your team, which I will say is a very mature self-reflection. Would you say this change in role has also unlocked you as a player and perhaps as a teammate? What can you tell me about this change?
I think for sure it has. I've never really been a good leader in the sense that I'm not the one taking the most space in the room, talking the most. I think this has just never been me. So I didn't really like the whole thing that happened in Fnatic where I kind of got forced into this position. I feel like after 2016, I should have been more strongly saying no to it, but it kind of happened naturally as well. So I don't regret anything in that sense either. It's just more, I feel like I'm much better off being the backbone for a team than the face. And in G2, I'm kind of naturally the backbone. Meanwhile, in Fnatic, I was kind of naturally the face. So I think it's just better for me this way because I can focus on my own play and just try to support my teammates as much as possible. Meanwhile, in Fnatic, I felt kind of forced to be the carry, which I think also took away some of my teammates' potential. I think they are probably better off actually without me in their team. So this whole thing has just been a win-win for everyone, I would say.
So obviously that's a funny quote at the end that you kind of don't hear people say very often, that my old team's better off without me, which is hilarious. Obviously Fnatic not really coming off the best season. People don't really have the best expectations for them going forward, but upset's been very good for them. It hasn't been the 80 carry position's fault, and if Rekkles was on Fnatic, would they have been that much better this year? Yeah, I don't know. 80 carry is a tough position. It's very, very team focused and team oriented, and they had plenty of other issues. But I did think it was really, really cool to hear Rekkles talking about this stuff, about how he maybe didn't enjoy being that vocal leader for Fnatic. That yes, he had been the face of Fnatic for so long, and I don't know if other people did, but I just kind of assumed that he was willingly being the leader, that he loved being the face, and that he that was exciting and fun. That's like what most people like dream of, wanting that. But obviously everyone's personality is different, and he is a winner at the end of the day. He wants to win, and if he thinks he is better off focusing on his play and helping out his team and not being the face and the vocal leader and the one that needs to solo carry, and that his team needs to help him carry, and they need to make sacrifices for him. If that's not what he wants, if that's not what makes him happy, if that's not what he thinks makes him and his team play the best, then I think that's so cool that he's willing to make those sacrifices. That he's saying, I think I'll play better, and I think my team will play better as a whole if I make some sacrifices. If I don't need to be the leader, if I don't need to be the one talking, if I don't need to be the one standing up and making sure my voice is heard, my opinion's heard, and I get to carry, he wants to play for the team, and that's awesome. And again, that's probably so much of what G2 needs, because yeah, they have stars on this team, they have big personalities. Obviously it seems like everyone gets along really well and everyone's fun, but yeah, you have some great players in pretty much everyone on the G2 team, and we know that Caps is kind of the face of G2 at this point, and he is a guy who can carry, but he also is a guy that likes to play for the team and just wants to win and stuff. And it seems like so many of these G2 players are so just selfless, and it is so much of what has allowed this G2 team to succeed, and so much of what makes me have faith for them going forward to be a successful team. And it was just really, really cool to hear Rekkles talking about this, because this is not something that I had necessarily heard him talk about a ton previously, and also something that really kind of opened my mind to this. And then yeah, he's saying that Fnatic's better off without me, I'm better off without Fnatic, I'm better on G2, G2's better without me, and all together, I feel better, I feel happier, and it does seem like that. It seems like Rekkles is loving it over at G2, loving playing with Mickey, love playing on this team. He feels confident about their chances in the LEC, at MSI, at Worlds, and he's happy that everything's clicking. And yes, he has left Fnatic before, and obviously it didn't go so well, and there had to be a ton of anxiety and stress and doubt in his mind about trying to do something again, or what was life away from Fnatic going to be? But it sounds like he wasn't that happy at Fnatic anyway. You know, if he was being forced into a position and into a role that he wasn't comfortable with and didn't like necessarily, then yeah, this change could have been one of the best things that ever happened to him. But then also Fnatic needing to find out what they're going to be able to do without him going forward as well. But yeah, just headed into the playoffs. Obviously, Rekkles is looking amazing. Maybe he's going to be the LEC MVP. Maybe not. I know there's a couple other people that are very, very deserving as well. But headed into the playoffs, G2's looking scary. Rekkles has been a beast. He's seeming happy. They're saying they're all clicking. And it's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait to see G2, you know, hopefully just run through this playoffs and then hopefully perform at MSI as well. But I did think this interview was definitely a good one. You guys should definitely go check out the full interview over at the LEC YouTube channel. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. I would appreciate it so, so much. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this? Do you think that Rekkles is right, that Fnatic is better off without him? Do you think Fnatic's missing him? Do you think G2 is going to sweep through the playoffs? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on anything we talked about in today's video. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.